governance, federalism, center-state relations, also will try to cover emergency provisions. So one of the regular repeated prelims theme, local governance, 73rd Amendment, 74th Amendment, then PESA. Apart from that, recent some changes introduced by the government. So local governance is one of, again, favorite topic for prelims. But how the concept of local governance started, and very direct questions came regarding local governance. So if you look at overall, local government was not just new at all, it has been there earlier. So if you look at, in ancient time itself, they used to have Chola's time, Chalukya's time, at that time itself, they used to have some self-republic villages. So concept of self-republic villages later got transformed into different things. In the process, we started something called as local government. So the concept of Panchayat Raj, concept of municipalities and urban local bodies are not new. It has been there earlier also. But if you look at, sir, why all this? Gandhian ideology. What is Gandhian socialism? Democratic decentralization. What is the meaning of democratic decentralization? Power to rule should be decentralized. In fact, real people in India lives in Bharat, not in India. Meaning rural areas. So which means give power to local people, let them rule by themselves, and power should not be in the hands of only some rich people. There should be decentralization of the power, and let the local people know the problem well, so let them give the power. So let them do what they want. That's the basic theme of democratic decentralization. Direct question came, local self-government best explains in democracy which are the following, and then they gave the options. One of the options is direct word to word, they copied from NCERT, democratic decentralization. The reason being, what the local problems are, local people knows better. Somebody sitting in secretariat is preparing a plan for a village. How do they know what are the local problems? So that's the essence of democratic decentralization. Apart from that, we said constitutional status was not given to the local bodies earlier, but what is the fundamental objective of Panchayat Raj or local bodies, sir? Public participation. So public should participate in the process of the economic development, meaning village level development plan, block level development plan, district level plan. So earlier planning was from top to bottom approach. Top to bottom approach meaning someone was sitting in secretariat and they were preparing the plan for everyone. So we want to make it bottom to top approach. Bottom to top approach means first ask the village people what do they want. Integrate that with the block plan. Integrate block with the district plan. District with the state plan, state with the national plan. In fact, Niti Aayog, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Prayas, Sabka Vishwas, Sabka Vinash, Sabka Barbad, that is not there. So Niti Aayog basic theme itself is bottom to top approach with integration of multi-level planning. Meaning, from low level to the high level in the process, plan should be integrated and we should make them part of the preparation of the plan. So that is called democratic decentralization, also local self-governance. Again, one more question was, easy question only. Fundamental objective of Panchayat Raj system was democratic decentralization or improving public participation in decision making. Also, if you look at various committees are there. So evolution of Panchayat Raj system. For UPSC, they didn't ask the chronological order of Panchayat Raj system committees, but state services they asked, especially Group 2. In Group 2, they even asked the year also, math the following also, but UPSC, only basic idea is enough. So Balwant Mehta Committee in 1957. So it suggested 3-tier Panchayat Raj system. So what's the meaning of 3-tier Panchayat Raj system? What are the 3 tiers that we are talking about? Yes, Gram Sabha, Mandal Parishad or Samiti, and Jilla Parishad. So 3-tier Panchayat system was recommended by Balwant Rai Mehta Committee because he says there should be some bridge between district level planning and rural level planning also. Now the reason why he suggested 3-tier Panchayat Raj system, of course in different states they call the different names, but the essence is same. In some states, they have mandal. In some states, they have something called block. In some states, they have something called samiti. So group of the villages come under panchayat. Group of panchayats come under some samiti or block level. All of them come under district. This is called a three-tier panchayat raj system. Sir, why did he recommend three-tier panchayat raj system? He said, planning is being concentrated in the hands of only district level. It is not going to the block level. It is not going to the rural level. So tomorrow when you become IAS officer also, if you just sit in your office, you don't know the reality. So you have to go to field and visit. Then only will come to know the reality. Because you cannot trust the report given by your subordinate, always. Because the subordinate reports may be manipulated. Because field in the reality at grassroots level, what is happening we don't know. There is something called Janmabhoomi committee earlier. So now Jagananna, Grama Sachivalayalu, local self-governance only. All services will be offered to your doorstep. You need not come to us. So one of the reasons for Balwantrai Mehta committee recommendation was, at that time, they were examining community development program. So in community development program, we have to make people participate in the process of the development. So how do we make people to participate? We have to involve them in decision making process. So to frame guidelines in community development program, at that time, Balwantrai Mehta committee suggested three-tier panchayat raj system. And again, Ashok Mehta committee, it suggested two-tier panchayat raj system. So what is this two-tier panchayat raj system, sir? Again, different states have different way of performing two-tier panchayat raj system. In some of the states, group of the villages are called as block, and then there is a district. So two-tier panchayat raj system, which means not a single village or not group of villages. So many group of the villages together is called as block level. Actually, BDO, Block Development Officer, PDO, Panchayat Development Officer. Different states they have different name. Ashok Mehta committee said, three-tier panchayat raj system may be little bit in practice takes a lot of time. So let's go for group of villages instead of each village or each panchayat. So he suggested two-tier panchayat raj system. Again, GVK Rao committee also suggested two-tier panchayat raj system. So if you look at year 1977, no need to remember the year, not required. Then GVK Rao committee also suggested two-tier panchayat raj system. So no need to remember, but just for knowing purpose we are writing. And when extremism was there in the rural area, especially in Chota Nagpur Plateau. So what is the reason for extremism in Chota Nagpur Plateau? Chota Nagpur Plateau is blessed with so many resources, but why still extremism is there? What is the reason for extremism? Exploitation of the resources, the tribal people by the others, by taking advantage of ignorance of them. So if some area is blessed with the resources, development should take place in that area. Extremism should not be there. Law and order should be there. So democratic decentralization did not happen. Governance failure and not involving the local people in the process of decision making and not using the resources for their development. Because we covered one word called crony capitalism. So what happened in reality, the local tribal people were not aware that the land consists of so many rich minerals. So they sold it to local commission agent or a private player for very throwaway prices. After that, the government comes and notifies that we are having so many minerals in that particular land. Government is planning to pay 1 crore compensation, 2 crore compensation to that area. Original tribal, who is the landowner, did not get benefited. So everybody got benefited. Corporate got benefited, businessmen got benefited, the bureaucrat got benefited, but not the local original owner. The other reason why they took guns instead of pens. So what is the perception? If government is not in a position to reach that to the public level, see, by force only you cannot end the extremism. Government has to put art and show letter and spirit, try to involve them in developmental process also. So provide them school, provide them hospital, first win the trust of the people, then you can control. By force you cannot eliminate extremism, practically not possible. Because of the state oppression only, local people, tribal people, they are joining in extremism. So unless and until you win the heart of the people through decentralized planning, so only through violence, only through military operations, we cannot end extremism. So this was the theme of the report called Dantewal Committee in 1978, but it suggested let's go for block level planning. MPDO is there, Mandal Parishad Development Officer. So one more committee, Dantewal Committee. Come in. So this Dantewal Committee suggested block level development planning. So actually what's supposed to happen in reality, nodal officer will be appointed by the government, group 1 officer, group 2 officers will be there. And we elect public also, both will actually try to look into the matter. So which means, what does it mean? From government side, the officer, group 1 officer most likely is appointed as in charge of the block, and they conduct the elections also. So Gram Panchayat, Mandal Parishad, Jilla Parishad. So they will try to give, okay, these are our priority areas. Officer will try to implement them. So why did he suggest block level planning, sir? Because he said many villages in India even do not have basic infrastructure services. What is basic infrastructure, sir? Roads are not there, electricity is not there, water is not there. In fact, some of the villages are not even identified in India's map. That's the reality. So many tribal hamlets are not recorded anywhere in India. They don't have Aadhaar card, they don't have PAN card, they don't have anything. So they are the happiest people on the planet Earth. So they belong to which country? Bharat. So what does it mean? Why this much? Even after 75 years of India's independence, still poverty exists, unemployment exists. So many tribal hamlets do not have basic services. So block should take initiative and try to ensure decentralization. What does it mean? If you become collector, 200 crore is allocated to your district for 1 year. So then you'll be sitting with all your MPDOs and you'll be asking, how much commission do you want? Not how much commission do you want. List out all the priority areas in your block level. So they'll come up. In some area they want dump yard. In some area they want water tank. In some area they want government hospital. In some area they want PHC, primary healthcare center. So list out all the priority areas and take the opinion of the public also. So involve the public also in asking them how you can use that funds in a better manner. That's called block level planning. Then Hanumantrao committee suggested district level planning. One more committee. So this committee suggested district level planning. So DPC it's called as District Planning Committee. Also District Development Officer. So Hanumantrao committee suggested district planning, meaning he is trying to suggest that the preparation unit of the plan should be at district level. There is something called DPC, Jilla Parishad is there, and district planning committee will be there. Mostly IAS officer will be appointed as ZP. So if you look at CEO, Chief Executive Officer, members are elected from the public, but executive is from the government. Anyway, we are going to cover municipalities, municipal corporations. So, but here we are talking about Panchayat Raj institutions, so rural areas we are talking about. That's the reason why Gram Panchayat, Mandal Parishad, Jilla Parishad, ZP we call it as. Again, LM Singhvi Committee, 1986, it said revitalization of Panchayat Raj. One more committee, LM Singhvi Committee, 1986. Only for namesake, Panchayat Raj institutions are there, but in reality, they are not functional. We have to make them operationally functional. So what does it mean? Remember DPSP is one of the DPSPs. DPSP 40. What is DPSP 40? Creation of the panchayats. So again DPSPs are not enforceable in court of law. DPSPs are not enforceable in court of law. However, states were not showing much interest in development of panchayats other than just before panchayat elections. Just before panchayat elections only, government will remember panchayats. After elections are over, they are not remembering panchayats at all. And some states, even panchayat elections are not conducted even in time. So that's the reason why LM Singhvi committee said, the idea of Gandhi, local self-governance, should be materialized. That's the reason why we should give more powers and we should transfer more subjects towards panchayat. That's the reason why it's called as revitalization of panchayat raj institutions. Meaning, they should be given operational autonomy to collect their own taxes, and certain specific responsibilities should be assigned to them. Most of the subjects which were their part of state, of course, state is not doing it. So why not transfer them to Panchayat Raj institutions? Then finally, we can say Gadgil Committee 1988 recommended 3-tier Panchayat Raj system. Gadgil formula you will study later. What is Gadgil formula? Special category status. So what is this Gadgil formula? In Finance Commission you are going to cover in economy a concept called Gadgil formula, not Godzilla. So what is this Gadgil formula, sir? When Finance Commission recommends, union government can give special category status to a state. Then the criteria given by Gadgil formula is most of the population should be tribal population, hilly area should be there, it should be located on strategic areas, international borders, and state revenues are very, very low, economic backwardness, infrastructure backwardness. So there is Gadgil formula, but here Gadgil committee suggested 3-tier Panchayat Raj system. So finally, if you look at, by the time 1990s, so many committees recommended that, yes, we have panchayats, but we are not providing them sufficient resources. So we should also make them self-reliant so that they can do better. That's the reason why 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act of 1992 and 74th Amendment of 1992. So in simple, in not UPSC, in state services they asked, which of the following committees are not associated with Panchayat Raj institutions? Something like that. Balwant Rai Committee, Ashok Mehta Committee, G.V.K. Rao Committee, then Dantewal Committee, Hanumanth Rao Uncle, L.M. Singhvi, Gadgil, whatever. All of them are related to PRIs only, Panchayat Raj institutions. And sometimes if examiner has any family problems, then he is asking committee and it recommended 3-tier, 2-tier, 1-tier, something like that. If still any family problems are there, match the following. Here, committee recommendations. Too much factual, but UPSC is not asking like that. UPSC is just asking what is the reason for Panchayat Raj institutions. More than enough. But safe side only we covered. But futures of 73rd Amendment we have to cover. So, before 73rd Amendment, what all happened we know, which means we are saying that panchayats should actually come into picture in decision making, but they are not given sufficient resources. So 73rd Amendment Act of 1992, so added part 9 in the Constitution. So and we inserted some articles. So if you look at in mains answer rating also, you need not write every article, but broadly you can quote. So from this article to this article. So panchayats, and they provided provisions from article 243 to 243G. Correct? Or article 243O. So if you look at brief idea only, but every article you need not remember. So in that especially there is 29 functional subjects are transferred to panchayats. How many subjects are transferred? 29 functional subjects are transferred to Panchayat Raj institutions by the state. Which means in these 29 areas, who is supposed to work? The Panchayat Raj institutions supposed to work. Earlier, who were doing that? State used to do that. Again, if you look at 243G, 243G is about this 29 functional items which Panchayat Raj institutions support to perform. G, Gram Panchayat. So example to understand, water, sanitation, cleanliness, so management of dump yard. So 29 subjects got taken from state and they got transferred to Panchayat Raj institution. Again we say, look at the word, Gram Sabha. What is the meaning of Gram Sabha? So it contains not all the people in the village, all the registered voters in the village. Not all the people in the village, all the registered voters in the village. So all of them will sit together and they elect directly the people these people indirectly will elect the chairman. So which means people are not directly electing the chairman, people are electing the ward members. Ward members will elect again, correct? So when you participate in Panchayat Raj institutions elections, so how is Panchayat Raj elections different from the normal general elections? Is there any difference? Age difference is there, sir. There also direct elections only.
With respect to ward members majority, there is an alternative for president vote.
Okay. What else? What else is the difference between MLA MP election and Panchayat Raj elections? One more. ఏమో సార్ మేము ఎప్పుడు ఎలక్షన్లో పార్టీ చేశాం సార్. MLA and MP elections are context in the line of parties. But Panchayat elections? They are not contested on the political ideology, of course. There also parties are supporting, that is a different thing. But directly, say in Panchayat elections, so party symbols are used. Political party symbols are used. No. The local candidate will get their own symbol. Of course, they're getting support from the political parties. But MLA election, MP elections, symbol will not vary from candidate to candidate. You are contesting from one constituency, I am contesting from one constituency, he is contesting from one constituency, but MLA election, MP election, party symbol is same. Panchayat elections. So, but of course, support is there. Because of contest in the elections, they are supporting it, but generally it's not based on political ideology, it's based on local rivalry group. Obviously, there is a fight between the two groups. Ruling party support one group, opposition party will support the other group. That is there. But political groupism and political ideology is there in the general elections. But in local body elections, it is constructed based on local candidate. Of course, there also money matters only, because whoever gives more money, for them voting will be given. Apart from that, what is the role of the Gram Sabha? Any major decisions related to development of Panchayat, they should sit together in Gram Sabha and they should decide. Especially for land acquisition and exploration of the minor minerals. Look at the word. Especially for land acquisition under LARR, Land Acquisition Rehabilitation Resettlement Act, exploration of minor minerals which are available in that area, consent of the Gram Sabha is required. What does it mean? Majority of the people in that village are signing and saying, yes, we are accepting to give our land to this project. We know that we are giving this land to this dam, we are giving this land to this project, and we are agreeing to the compensation that they are promising to us. The reason being, in the name of the development, state cannot take away the land of the people at whatever price they want. That's the reason why LARR clearly says, in the rural area, whenever land of the Gram Sabha is acquired for any project, at least minimum 4 times of market compensation should be paid. Minimum 4 times. What does it mean? 1 acre market value is 10 lakhs. If government is taking up that land for a project, at least 10 times of the market, not 10 times, 4 times of the market value should be paid. Adequate fair compensation should be paid. For which, at least, if it is for a government project, 75% of people in Gram Sabha should accept for it. If it is a public-private project, at least 70% of people should accept for it. What does it mean? Simply government cannot take away whatever they want. So that's the reason why LARR Act clearly defines the reason and how land can be acquired. Now, apart from that, so 3-tier system. What are the 3-tier system? Village level, intermediate level, district level. And election of the members and chairpersons, if you look at which of the following statements are correct. All the members of Panchayat at the village are elected directly by the people. All the members, look at the word, all the members of the Panchayats at the village are directly elected by people. Correct only, all the members we are talking about. So apart from that, reservation is there in the seats? Yes? Again, what is the term of the Panchayat Raj institutions? 5 years. Now one interesting question is asked. Before the expiry of that 5 years, Suppose it got dissolved. Before the expiry of 5 years, Panchayat Raj institution got dissolved. Elections are conducted. Again, newly constituted Panchayat. So, will it serve for next 5 years or will it serve for the remainder period? Previous prelims question. Did you understand the meaning of the question? The term of the Panchayat is for 5 years. But at the end of the 3 year, it got dissolved. So, elections are conducted again. Again, new Panchayat Raj institution is formed. So, will it serve till 5 years, the next remaining 2 years only? See, if it is not dissolved, automatically the term 5 years will be expired. But if it is dissolved before the expiry of the term, look at the word. Before the expiry of its duration of 5 years, if Panchayat Raj institution is dissolved, what is the meaning of dissolution? 5 years term is not over. Before itself, that previous Panchayat institution got cancelled. That's called as dissolution. In those circumstances only. So if you look at the newly elected Panchayat will continue for remainder period after reconstitution. 2 examples. 5 years is over. We are conducting fresh elections for Panchayat Raj. What is the term? Next 5 years. We conducted already Panchayat Raj institution. Because of shift in ward members from this side to that side and that side to this side, whatever happened, it got dissolved. So after that newly formed Panchayat will continue till only remainder period. Because originally the term of the elected Panchayat was how many years? 5 years. Understood the 2 conditions? Earlier we elected a Panchayat, it 5 years term got expanded. Then we are conducting elections. It will continue till 5 years. But before 5 years, if it is dissolved, so in those circumstances, the newly constituted Panchayat will continue to work for the remainder period. Direct as it is, prelims question came. So they asked, in case of dissolution of Panchayats, the newly constituted Panchayat will continue for next 5 years, remainder period after reconstitution. That's the meaning of the word. Remainder period. Sir, why this, sir? Because generally what happens, in India, you will understand, Ramnath Kovind, one nation, one election committee? Yes. So the year in which MP elections are conducted, the year in which Lok Sabha elections are conducted, the year in which MLA elections are conducted, the year in which Panchayat Raj elections are conducted, there is a difference. So there is a change in the power in the government. But earlier in Panchayat elections, different government related people were there in the power. Generally it happens. So that's the reason why this clause called as remainder period. So take example of now Telangana government itself. So take Andhra Pradesh example right now. So when they were in power, obviously most of local bodies, their candidates only will win the elections. Probably there are high chances. Why there are high chances? Because they have muscle power, they have state power, they have police power, all that. They will do whatever possible to win maximum number because it's a status symbol for the ruling party. What if next election that party lost and the opposition party came into power? They will try to disturb all the local bodies also as much as possible. Or what they do, they ask this local party leaders to jump into the ruling party. Otherwise, political revenge. So generally it happens. That's the reason why they came up with this. But otherwise, what is the term of the Panchayat Raj institution? 5 years. Again, what is the qualification to contest elections in Panchayat Raj institutions? First, must be citizen of India. Must be citizen of India. And minimum age to participate in the elections. Participate or to vote. Earlier 25 was there, it was reduced to 21 to contest in the elections, correct? But to vote in the elections, 18 years. So, but earlier, even for Panchayat also, minimum age was 25, but it was reduced to 21. In fact, it was said, no person shall be disqualified on the grounds that he is less than 25 years of age if he has attained the age of 21 years. Meaning minimum 25 years is not compulsory. That 25 years age got restricted to attainment of the age of 21 years. But originally, what is the age for Lok Sabha elections? Minimum age 25. 25 was there even for Panchayat Raj also, but we added a clause which says a person will not be disqualified because his age is 25 years if he attain the age of 21. Meaning 25 is not compulsory. If you attain the 21 years of the age, you can contest in panchayat elections. So for the first time a girl became mayor in Kerala. Remember, youngest mayor in India during COVID-19 time. So a girl in Kerala, she contested. Anyway, we are free, let's contest. And she became mayor. What about reservation for women in Panchayat Raj institutions? Who will conduct election for Lok Sabha and Assembly? Central Election Commission. Who will conduct elections for Panchayat Raj institutions? State Election Commission. Correct? State Election Commission has similar powers that of Central Election Commission also. Again, Union government has something called Finance Commission, Union Finance Commission Article 280. Similarly, state also has State Finance Commission. So, State Finance Commission will actually provide recommendations to the state regarding devolution of funds from the state to Panchayat Raj institutions. See, if you are staying in a village, you will pay something called property tax. To Panchayat, you have to pay property tax. For water connection, you have to pay some service charge. Also, whatever Panchayat is providing various services for which we have to pay fee for them. Now, again, 73rd Amendment is criticized that we are only transferring responsibilities to Panchayat Raj institutions but not the funds. 29 subjects are transferred to Panchayat Raj institutions, but enough funds are not transferred. We are telling do your duty, but we are not giving money to them. So one of the criticism is that states are not providing sufficient resources to Panchayat Raj institutions. So 73rd Amendment and 74th Amendment are toothless. The reason being, we are only transferring the responsibilities to them, but we are not giving sufficient funds for them to develop. So which means, you said sanitation, road, water, electricity, street lights, all that, maintenance of the toilets and so on, all that we gave, but funds are not given to them. So that's the reason why one of the criticism is that State Finance Commission, based on identification, should suggest the state to devolve the funds to Panchayat Raj institutions. Same concept we'll study based on the recommendation of the Finance Commission Article 280 for different states. Horizontal devolution, vertical devolution. What is horizontal devolution? What is vertical devolution? Vertical devolution. Center is 1 unit. All the states together is 1 unit. So vertical. Suppose 14th Finance Commission suggested vertical devolution of how much? 42% or 41%? 42. 41. 15th Finance Commission suggested devolution of 42% or 41? 14th Finance Commission suggested 42%. 15th Finance Commission suggested 41%. Vertical. What does it mean? Center and all the states together. Sir, why sir? Because in 14th Finance Commission time frame, 2015-20, look at the word, how many states were there? 29 states were there because Jammu and Kashmir was a state at that time. When Jammu and Kashmir is abrogated, Article 370 is abrogated, 2019. So 15th Finance Commission time frame, 29 states became 28 states. But in place of the 2 UTs are created. That's the reason why devolution was reduced to 1% and this 1% would be given to 2 UTs which are created instead of Jammu and Kashmir. That's the reason why this is vertical devolution. Then among the states, again criteria. Population, area, green forest cover, demographic performance, tax effort, income distance, criteria is there. Now if you are following newspapers, South Indian CMs are saying, have as many children as possible. Chandrababu Naidu is saying, don't stop the war. Stalin also told that don't stop, have as many children as possible. So China used to follow one child, one dog policy. One child, one dog policy. What is one child, one dog policy? Only one Xerox copy is permitted, not more than that. But right now, iddar muddu, ikpai vaddu, aapai haddu. This is government dialogue, not my dialogue only. So which means how many number of children couple can have, that is their choice, no doubt. But why South Indian states CMs are saying like this, sir? Because South Indian states, most of them got educated, most of them are having very good standard of living, educated people, so they are having as many as low children as possible. So in South Indian state, population stabilization already happened, because of which what is happening, population not growing much. But when center is allocating funds to the states, one of the criteria is also population. Meaning South Indian states are saying controlling population is good or increasing population is good. So we control population through population stabilization. Instead of incentivizing us, you are giving less funds to us. Whereas some of the North Indian states, they're increasing population and criteria for population is there, they're getting more funds. So South Indian state CM said, okay, come on, let's not stop the war. People should have as many children as possible so that we'll get more funds, because population is also one of the criteria. Understood? So it's a bone of contention between South Indian states and the Finance Commission. We have to wait and watch 16th Finance Commission what they are going to do. But this is not important for us. Similar to this only, State Finance Commission also will provide devolution, because see, backward area. How can you say that an area is backward? What are the backward districts in Telangana? Adilabad, Mulugu, Etur Nagaram, Bhadradi Kottagudem, Hyderabad? No sir, only Ashok Nagar is backward, sir. How can you say that a particular district is backward? What is the criteria for backward? Infrastructure is not there. What is infrastructure? Transportation, connectivity, industries, all that. So what are the backward districts in Andhra Pradesh? All districts. No. Except YSR district. Oh, Anni cover chesarga. So correct only. Why are you saying that certain districts are backward? Anantapur, Prakasham, and coastal Andhra also, mostly. What does it mean? Decentralization, it did not happen in developmental planning. Most of educational institutions, most of all India institutions, most of industries, most of are located in only one particular area. So if you don't go for decentralization of the development, it leads to regionalism, sub-regionalism, secessionism, separatism. So we want all Hyderabad as a separate country, not separate state. Ashok Nagar separate country. Why are they demanding for separatism? Because they feel that they are being neglected. They feel that they are being ignored. They feel that they are not being part of the developmental process. So decentralization ante enti akkadu radani ikkadu radani ikkadu radani kaadu. Decentralization meaning decentralization of the development, not decentralization of the administrative headquarters is decentralization, correct? So abhiruddhi vikendrikarana ante artham akkado office ikkado office kaadu. Planning development in different regions, that is called as decentralization of development. So we should establish regional councils. What is regional councils? In backward area, let's establish a regional council, provide fund for them, identify the potential for development in that area. Suppose in a particular district, groundnut is the largest grown crop. What type of industry you can establish there? Groundnut chicky, groundnut powder, oil, whatever we can establish in that area. Suppose in a particular area, sericulture is more, textile industry is more, we can establish garment industry in that particular area. So you cannot develop every area equally, but identify the potential for development, go for decentralization planning, and go for regional councils and try to provide resources for them. That's the basic essence of Panchayat Raj institutions and 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act. So if you look at, there are some compulsory provisions under 73rd Amendment Act, and where what type of taxes can be collected by Panchayat? Who will decide? State Finance Commission will recommend and governor will notify, and Panchayat Raj institutions can collect the taxes. Suppose you want to construct a house in your village. Should we take Panchayat permission? Sir, we are constructing our house, sir, on our land. Why should we take permission, sir? Should we take? Yes, dear, you have to take layout approval from your Panchayat. Actually, you can construct. Later, they'll come and demand the money. Better before only give the bribe and take. Why, sir? Because till that time in Panchayat records, it was recorded as empty land. Now on that empty land, a house is coming up. So it should be updated in the Panchayat institutions also. So that's the reason why before you construct a house, you have to go to respective Panchayat secretary, whoever. So you have to take the approval for the layout, first floor, second floor, third floor, whatever. So all that you have to get, and services also are paid. Also you'll keep hearing one word called octroi. What's meaning of octroi? Octroi is the tax collected by local bodies. What are the local bodies, sir? Panchayat Raj institutions and urban local bodies, when vehicles are passing through their territory and jurisdiction. So a truck is going through, so from Hyderabad, a truck is going to some area. It is crossing the jurisdiction of Hyderabad. So Hyderabad is called GHMC only, Greater Hyderabad Municipal Corporation. So GHMC will impose a tax on that vehicle, that is called as octroi. What is the meaning of this? It's a tax collected by the local bodies, especially when the goods are crossing the territorial border. See, these goods are not from Hyderabad. Goods are coming from Nagpur, but they're crossing the Hyderabad. So local bodies are collecting a tax. The tax that is collected when the goods crosses the jurisdiction or the area of local body is called as octroi. So which means governor is the principal authority for determining taxes and duties which may be appropriated by panchayats. What does it mean? Who is the ceremonial head of the state? Governor. So who will constitute State Finance Commission? That is the reason why we are saying governor will constitute State Finance Commission. State Finance Commission will tell what type of funds will go to Panchayat Raj institutions. Similarly, who will constitute Finance Commission there? President. So who will recommend devolution of funds from center to state? Union Finance Commission, Article 280. Same thing only here. State Finance Commission will be constituted by Governor, and State Finance Commission will suggest devolution of taxes to the Panchayat Raj institutions. So this is called as 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act. For exam purpose, what to remember, sir? Minimum age for contesting elections, 21 years. How many subjects are transferred, sir? 29 subjects. So again, Gram Sabha. What is the role of Gram Sabha consist of? Not all the people in the village, but all the registered voters in the village. And just now we said, so devolution of funds to Panchayat Raj institutions are recommended by State Finance Commission. Who constitutes State Finance Commission? Governor. So also LARR Act, Land Bank, Land Acquisition, Land Rehabilitation. What is Land Bank concept, sir? Octroi, I said. What is the meaning of octroi? Taxes collected by local bodies. Again, there is something called Land Bank concept. What is this Land Bank concept, sir? Land is state subject or center subject? State subject. So for any project, the surplus land will be identified by the government, and this surplus land will be collected by the government and keep it ready for industries and industrial park. So blood bank. What happens in blood bank? So similar to that, land bank. State government will identify the surplus land and vacant land and keep it ready by completing land acquisition process. So industries and projects will not be stopped. See, one of the reasons why Polavaram did not get completed till now is still LARR is not completed. Land acquisition, rehabilitation and resettlement. And many projects got stopped in the middle because of land acquisition, rehabilitation and resettlement. So tomorrow RDO, Revenue Divisional Officer, Deputy Collector, he will be actually doing the land acquisition process. He will go and speak with the public and tell them, sir, government is planning to construct a nuclear plant here. Please give your land to us. We will try to offer adequate compensation. So look at Amaravati, 33,000 acres, something like that. Voluntarily farmers gave. Land acquisition process only. I think so. సో ఎనీవే వాళ్ళు రాజధాని కోసం ఇచ్చారు, కల్కేలియే రేపటి కోసం ఇచ్చారు. బట్ ఇఫ్ యూ లుక్ అట్ ద ల్యాండ్ బ్యాంక్ కాన్సెప్ట్ విల్ సేవ్ దట్ టైమ్. వై సార్? Suppose a pharma company is coming and saying to the state government, I want 200 acres of the land. I want to establish industry. And what state government will tell? Look at land bank is available in this areas. Then the industry will identify the suitable location for them. Accordingly, they can select. The process of the time taken for land acquisition will get come down. That's the reason why land banks are created. Of course, can government take away on its own by force from the public? I can go to High Court because their rights are violated. Yes? Fundamental rights are violated or legal rights are violated? Fundamental rights are violated or legal rights are violated? Suppose government is coming and taking up your house. Legal rights are violated. Right to property is fundamental right or legal right? So where can you go? High Court only? Yes? True? Article 226? Article 226. Of course, by force, your house is taken. Your fundamental right is also violated. Yes? So by force you are sitting in the class. Fundamental rights are violated. No, sir. So what does it mean? State should ensure that the public property used for the right purpose, then only they have to acquire the land. It should not be done for vested purpose, but here only quid pro quo for private parties. This is a cause of concern, which is the reason why many villages, many panchayat institutions are filing the cases against the government. See, they want to plan construction of a dam in that particular villages. There is nothing wrong. Purpose is good. They want to construct a dam. So when you are doing the land acquisition process, you should follow LARR rules. Land acquisition, rehabilitation, resettlement. You should organize Gram Sabha. You should inform them. Market value, compensation value, take the consent of them. But if you do not follow this, if people go to court, court will issue an order, contempt of court. One of the IAS officer from Telangana state got arrested by Telangana High Court. The reason being, a farmer is not willing to give land for a project. That is his choice. How can you take by force? So he went to court. Court said prohibition order. What is the meaning of prohibition order? Stay order. But despite that, the officer, to impress the politicians, started work on that land. Then Telangana High Court asked, did you prepare for polity in UPSC? Did you go to Mussoorie? Did you study Article 32? Did you take coaching in Sardar Vallabhbhai National Police Academy? Tell, come on, what is Article 32? What is prohibition? They asked in the court, open court itself. What does it mean? To impress the political bosses, you should not have excess of your power. You should work according to constitution, not according to political bosses. Say, ultimately, minister said okay, but who is going to the jail? The officer who is in charge is going to the jail. So be careful. Be careful. Game Changer movie. Seen Game Changer movie? Yes? Written go Rasivandi and Adigal Everni Ministerni. The reason is, see, now nobody is ignorant. Nobody is. You cannot take the advantage of the illiterates in Panchayat Raj institutions and take away their land for whatever purpose you want. But unfortunately, quid pro quo agreements are the main reason. So government is taking the land from them at very low prices, and this land is offered to private players at throwaway prices because of quid pro quo investment. So this is what is happening. Briefly, this is called as 73rd Amendment, 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act. And sometimes local self-governance helps in democratic decentralization. Already we covered. What is the meaning of democratic decentralization? Power of decision making should be with everybody. Involve public in participation of decision making process. Then there is one more word, PESA. What is this PESA? Panchayat extension to scheduled areas. First of all, we need to understand, anyway, I'm going to explain in detail what is this scheduled areas. What is the difference between 5th schedule and 6th schedule? Two main differences. 80 mm, Assam, Tripura, Meghalaya, Mizoram. So tribal areas comes in 6th schedule or 5th schedule? 6th schedule. So tribal areas. And autonomous district councils are there in 6th schedule area. So tribal areas in the other than 80 mm states are there in 5th schedule. Tribal advisory councils are there in 5th schedule. Correct? What is the difference in between the two, sir? Autonomous district council, operational autonomy is given to them. But tribal advisory council, so autonomy is not given to them. Governor will decide in consultation with the developmental officer. Anyway, I'm going to explain in detail both. But what is this panchayat extent into scheduled area, sir? The provisions of Part 9 of the Constitution related to panchayats are not applicable to 5th scheduled areas. So to make it applicable, Parliament made a law. That law is called as PESA, Panchayat Extension to Scheduled Areas. Sir, what does it mean, sir? So if you look at Schedule 5, Schedule 6 areas are created basically for administrative convenience and for decentralized development. Automatically, whatever 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act made, 29 subjects have to be transferred to Panchayat, not applicable to this area. Why not applicable to this area, sir? Because it is created exclusively for the decentralized development. So to make panchayats applicable even to this 5th scheduled areas, an act is passed. That act is called as PESA, Panchayat Extension to Scheduled Areas. Look at the word. The provisions of Part 9 are being extended to the panchayats which are located in Schedule 5. Sir, what is meaning of this? In Schedule 5, where tribal population is located, different Panchayat Raj institutions are there. So Panchayat Part 9, whatever subjects are there, the subjects also are applicable here. That's the reason why PESA is passed. Why, sir? What is the purpose, sir? We should recognize the local traditional identity and we should recognize traditional rights of the tribal population in that area. See, even right now, most of the tribal population is having their own unique culture, their own unique practices, their own unique traditional methods of doing it. So we should respect them. Apart from, tribal people should not be exploited by the other people and we should provide self-governance to them. That's the purpose of PESA, Panchayat Extension to Scheduled Areas. Again, the prior recommendation of Gram Sabha or the Panchayats are at appropriate level shall be mandatory for even for exploitation of minor minerals in this Gram Sabha. Meaning, what does it mean? Gram Sabha should conduct the meeting and they should give a consent for exploration of minor minerals. So one of the previous prelims question, the prior recommendation of Gram Sabha of the Panchayats is mandatory for grant of concession for exploitation of any type of minerals. Look at the word, any type of minerals. No, minor minerals. Minor minerals. So again, if you look at, sir, why PESA is separately brought in, sir? Because as part of decentralization itself, if you look at in 5th scheduled area, it was not applicable. Now we made panchayat provisions applicable for them also. That's the reason why PESA was brought in. 5th schedule, 6th schedule details we are going to cover later. So this is briefly about 11th schedule or 11th schedule only. 11th schedule of the Constitution. 11th schedule of the Constitution. And Part 9. So 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act. And we'll go to 74th Amendment. 74th Amendment, 12th Schedule, Part 9A. Municipalities or urban local bodies, we call it as in simple. So if you look at the concept of urban local bodies is not new at all. So during ancient time itself also towns were there, different towns. So Madras was the first major town, municipal corporation or municipality. Then Bombay. After that Allahabad also. So if you look at brief history earlier, during British time, Lord Mayo, 1870, financial decentralization. When Lord Mayo was there, he introduced something, he suggested something called financial decentralization. And Lakshmikant uncle, Lord Ripon. Lord Ripon only? So Lord Ripon gave later the basis for decentralization of the local bodies. Actually popularly Lord Ripon is called as father of local self-governance. So if you look at 1882 Ripon's resolution, or you can say Lord Ripon 1882. Sir, what does this talks about or this says about? So financial decentralization is mentioned in Lord Mayo's resolution. However, Lord Rippon's resolution of 1882 is called as Magna Carta of Local Self-Government. He is called as father of local self-government in India. Of course, later, Royal Commission on Decentralization was appointed in 1907, then 1909. So, what were the 1909 reforms are called as? Minto Morley? Minto Morley only? So, which means the concept of local self-government is not new at all. It has been there earlier. But what is the classification for urban area and rural area? How can you say that Hyderabad is urban area? That's okay, based on population, metropolitan city, Tier 1 city, Tier 2 city, all that. But how can you say that it's urban area? Your native place. Your native place is rural area, urban area? Don't know, sir. How can you say that it is rural area? More than 75% of workforce is doing non-agriculture occupation. Then that is called as urban area. Of course, again based on population, urban areas are divided into municipal corporations, municipalities, Tier 2 cities, all that. Hyderabad is 100% urbanized district in Telangana. Why we are not doing agriculture? First of all, we don't know how to do. And for doing agriculture, land should be there. Land itself is not available where we can do agriculture. So what is urban area, sir? More than 75% of the workforce is doing non-agriculture occupation. Then that is called as urban area. Of course, based on population, urban areas are classified again. So if you look at municipalities, 74th Constitutional Amendment Act. So what did it talk about, sir? Article 243P to 243ZG. Because earlier we said 243O. So Article 243P to Article 243ZG, no need to remember, just brief idea that after O it will start, correct only? Again, 18 functional subjects were transferred. Look at the comparison. Earlier how many subjects were transferred? 29. Now how many subjects are transferred to urban areas? 18. What does it mean? Earlier they were in state, now state is transferring this responsibility to urban local bodies. Now apart from that, for elections, so they classify it as wards. Wards only? Urban local bodies also wards. If you look at, what is the age for contesting urban local bodies also? 21 years only? All the local bodies? 21 years. Again, if you look at, based on population, they classify municipal corporations, municipalities, cantonment boards, notified areas, special purpose vehicles, port trust, all this comes under different types of urban local bodies only. Also, public sector enterprises, townships also are there. HAL township, BEL township, BDL township. So all are different types of the local bodies. So one of the previous prelim question, directly question came. Which of the following are urban local body areas? Port trust. Yes. Township. Yes. Cantonment board. See, cantonment boards are created under Cantonment Act of 2006. Actually, what is cantonment, sir? During British time, when they were ruling to us, for easy mobility of the troops, they were actually stationing the troops at one place. From there, they used to disperse based on whenever they need. After independence, there is no need to maintain the troop, but the military areas which were there earlier were continued to continue, and municipal administration, that cantonment board is done by IDES officer, Indian Defence Estate Service. If you get selected for civil services, one service is there, IDES, Indian Defence Estate Service. So President will appoint IDES officer as CEO, Chief Executive Officer of Cantonment Board. So cantonment boards were created under Cantonment Act of 2006. Of course, two officers will be there in Cantonment Board. One is CEO, in charge of municipal administration. One is looking after the land of the defense. Ministry of Defense is there. Ministry of Defense land areas are there. So that land is taken care, which means from illegal encroachment, land acquisition, all that. So cantonment board also one of the urban local body. Then town area community. What do you mean of town area community, sir? This is generally used for small towns. Apart from that, so if you look at notified area community, what do you mean of notified area community, sir? It is in transition stage from rural area to urban area. completely fully not becoming town, but in the process of becoming town, so we are notifying that area. That is called as a notified area community. So municipal corporations, municipalities, notified area committees, town area committees, cantonment board, township, port trust, and special purpose vehicle. What is this special purpose vehicle? Heard about SEZ? Special Economic Zone, NIMZ. So government and the private developer will take a land for the development of a specific project. For that, SPV it's called as special purpose vehicle is created. So there also they can notify it. So all these are different types of urban local bodies. So 74th Constitutional Amendment Act 1992 Part 9A 12 Schedule 18 subjects are transferred. But this is also criticized. What is the criticism of urban local bodies, sir? They are also are toothless. Why, sir? What is the reason? Look at Hyderabad. Look at when small rain comes. What happens? Jala jala jalapatam. Almost everywhere. So we cannot blame them. The reason is planned urbanization did not happen. What is planned urbanization suggested by Mokshagunda Vishweshwaraya uncle? He says all administrative headquarters should be located in the center of the city. Surrounding the city, so residential areas should be there. Next layer, schools, colleges, educational institutions should be there. Outermost layer, industry should be there. Even if at all you want to expand the city, you can expand the outer layer. So this is called as planned urbanization. Also, road in the city should be connected with the radial pattern. So traffic jam is there in one route, they can take diversion and go in the other route. So comparatively, Mysore is relatively planned urbanized city. That's the reason why cities are little bit wide, roads are little bit wide, little bit clean and so on, comparatively. But why planned urbanization did not take place in India, sir? Because of corruption. What happened? Illegal encroachment, natural course of the water got disturbed. Water is not coming to our houses. We construct houses inside the water bodies. Now Hydra only, so much of drama. So which means rules should be rule for everyone, but unfortunate, leave it. Whether it is correct or not, we are not here to talk about politics, but planned urbanization did not happen. And why, sir? Migration, step migration and migration is the reason. What is migration? What is step migration? In rural areas, because agriculture income is so uncertain, agriculture work is uncertain, people are going to the nearest town or the metropolitan area in search of a fixed income. So migration is happening from rural area to urban area in search of education, employment and healthcare. So why did you come from your rural area to urban area? So education, healthcare, employment. So in search of this, migration is happening from rural area to urban area. But urban areas, see, land is limited only. Stress is created. That's the reason why slums are being developed in the urban area. So which means to prevent this, step migration, and Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam suggested PURA, providing urban facilities in the rural areas. Providing urban facilities in the rural areas, meaning create infrastructure which is there in the urban area, in the rural area itself, so that people will not migrate from rural area to urban area. Also go for step migration. What do you mean of step migration, sir? Instead of having a big metropolitan city, let's have satellite cities developed nearby to the rural area, so that more decentralized cities rather than one big city. See, instead of having a crore plus or million plus population at one single place, let's distribute that population in different cities. So that's called as step migration. So, but whatever we are talking about, urban population is facing so many problems. What are the problems in urban local bodies? Traffic problem, water problem, pollution problem. Stress is being created. So Swachh Bharat Mission, urban solid waste management, rural area, open defecation free. We want to make India open defecation free? Swachh Bharat 1.0. Swachh Bharat 2.0, urban solid waste management by establishing dump yards, processing of the waste, all this. Why, sir? Both in the rural area and urban area, stress is created. So this is brief idea about planned urbanization. Sir, Then what is the solution for cities? Alternative is not there, but try to develop satellite cities and small cities rather than one big metropolitan city. That's called as planned urbanization. Anyway, not that much important, but if you look at which is the first state to introduce Panchayat Raj institutions, Rajasthan. Again, if you look at Montague-Chelmsford reforms also, 1919 is Montague-Chelmsford reforms. Also talk about decentralization. So, autonomy to provinces. Again, ancient time will study something called Gramini. Grama means village only. So, Gramini, Gram Sabha, all that. Then just now we said, diarchy system was introduced through Montague-Chelmsford reforms 1999. What is diarchy system? So responsibility of the local government is given to the ministers in Montague-Chelmsford reforms in 1919. What does it mean? There itself the concept of local government started. Then again we said evolution. So in the evolution we covered various committees also. So which article talks about establishment of panchayat institutions? Article 40, local governments. DPSPs also we covered already. Again, look, Panchayat Raj institutions are called as connecting link between state legislatures and people. What do you mean of connecting link? State assembly, after that people, in between the bridge is Panchayat Raj institutions. Again, 73rd Amendment transferred how many subjects? So 29. All the states in India have 3-tier Panchayat Raj system. No, purely depend upon the state choice. Some states have 3-tier, some states have 2-tier. To contest in the elections in local bodies, what is the minimum age required? So who organizes or who conducts elections for Panchayat Raj institutions? So which article is related to State Election Commission? 243K. 243K is State Election Commission. Central Election Commission, Article 324. Again, State Finance Commission, 243I. State Finance Commission is 243I. So Union Finance Commission, Article 280. It's okay. No need to remember articles. Then PESA. Why did we bring PESA? Actually, PESA is brought because of Buria Committee. Committee is Buria Committee. This Buria uncle suggested something. Based on the recommendation of Buria Committee, in 1995, in 1996, PESA was brought in. Panchayat Extension to Scheduled Areas. Committee name is Buria Committee. It was appointed in 1995. Then again, so if you look at how many states as of now are part of 5th schedule? Around 10 states. Around 10 states. So apart from that, there is something called FRA also. What is this FRA Act, sir? Forest Rights Dwellers Act. What is this FRA Act? Any idea? 2006 Ministry of Tribal Affairs. See, if a person is residing in the forest for more than 75 years, a family is residing, so they does not have any document to prove that they are the owners. In those cases, rights can be given to them, meaning they can be identified as legal owners of that area. Maximum how many hectares it can be given, sir? 4 hectares. So look at the condition. In a forest area, a family has been living for more than 75 years. Then for them, the right of the ownership to the land for tribal people and forest dwellers can be identified by the government. That's why that is called a Forest Dwellers Rights Act 2006. Which ministry is related to it? Ministry of Tribal Affairs. Again, whether rights should be given to them or not, who will decide? Gram Sabha will decide. So in that Gram Sabha, who will be there? Government officers also will be there. From that village, elected members also will be there. Because whether really they're genuine people or not. Again, if you look at who is eligible for this, the people who are residing primarily in the forest, who depend upon the forest for livelihood. Apart from that, so just now we said, they should live in that area for more than 75 years. Sir, how can a person live 75 years? Not the single person. Their family has been continuously living in that area for more than 75 years. Our lifespan itself is 40-50 years only. but that family has been continuously living in that area for more than 75 years. In those cases, Forest Dwellers Rights Act can be identified. So how many hectares can be identified? 4 hectares. In urban local bodies, which is the first municipal corporation created in India? Madras, 1687. 1687, Madras is the first municipal corporation only. After that, what are the various urban local bodies created? Bombay and Calcutta. Then Allahabad also. So again, if you look at DPC, what is DPC, sir? District Planning Committee is called as DPC. So if you look at District Planning Committee, Article 243(d) will prepare all this. But again, just to understand whether we know clarity or not, district planning committees are applicable even in 5th schedule and 6th schedule areas. DPC, district planning committees are applicable even in 5th schedule and 6th schedule areas. No. Why, sir? Schedule 5th and Schedule 6th are created separately for the specific purpose. So their DPC is not applicable. In the remaining areas in the district, DPC is applicable. What is DPC? District Planning Committee. So apart from that, so District Development Commissioner will be there. Then there is something called MPC. What is MPC? Maths, Physics, Chemistry. Metropolitan Planning Committee. Of course, in economy, one more MPC will study Monetary Policy Committee. But here it is MPC. Metropolitan Planning Committee. Types of urban bodies we already covered. Municipal corporation, town area, all this. Cantonment boards are constitutional bodies created. Come on. Cantonment boards are constitutional bodies created. Statutory bodies. Why statutory bodies, sir? Created under Cantonment Act 2006. They are not constitutional bodies here. They are not mentioned. Cantonment boards are created through Cantonment Act 2006. So they are statutory bodies. So which ministry is looking after Cantonment Board? Ministry of Defence. So again, if you look at Schedule 5th and Schedule 6th area, clarity is required. So 5th schedule deals with administration and control of scheduled areas and scheduled tribes in any state other than 80 mm state. Other than 80 mm state. So Schedule 5, administration of scheduled areas and tribal areas other than 80 mm. What are these 80 mm states? Assam, Tripura, Meghalaya, Mizoram. So except these states, in the remaining state, whatever administration and control of scheduled areas is there, that are part of Schedule 5. So who can declare an area as scheduled area? President in consultation with the governor. President in consultation with the governor. Again, so governor has to submit a report to the president regarding the administration of these areas. And this Schedule 5th areas, TACs are formed. What are TACs, sir? Tribal Advisory Councils. So this Tribal Advisory Council consists of the members, and these members will try to implement the policies for the development of local area. So in simple, for the development of, actually why this is, there is something called aborigines. What's the meaning of aborigines? Originals who are part of that area. So if you look at, in this area they have been living for so many decades and centuries. They are the original inhabitants of that area. Let's try to protect their identity. Let's try to protect their rights. Another reason why the purpose of Schedule 5 area is brought in. Again, Schedule 6. So the administration of tribal areas in 80 mm states. Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura, Mizoram. Again, if you look at here, ADCs are created. What is ADCs, sir? Autonomous District Councils are created. So what is Autonomous District Council? They can rule by themselves, but they're part of the state overall. They can rule by themselves, self-governance is given to them, but they're part of the overall state. They're not outside the state. But if you look at one of the statement that is asked, Schedule 6 areas fall outside the executive authority of state. So look at the word. Schedule 6 areas fall outside the executive authority of state concerned. No, they're part of overall executive authority, but self-governance is given to them. What is the meaning of self-governance? Let them take their own decisions, but funding is given from, again, governor. Governor will provide and reorganize the autonomous district councils. Apart from that, so if you look at this, autonomous district council can make a law, but the law should be given assent by the governor. Then that law is applicable in its autonomous district council, because we are saying operational autonomy is given to them. So autonomous, name itself says autonomous. So they can rule by themselves. They can make their own law. Of course, that law should be given assent by governor. Apart from that, governor can appoint a commission also, so to look after them. So if you look at overall, in Schedule 5 areas, who can decrease, increase, alter the boundaries? President. In Schedule 6 areas, for autonomous district councils, who will supervise? Governor will supervise. That's the basic difference between Schedule 5 and Schedule 6 areas. Then there is something called cooperative societies also. What is the meaning of cooperative societies, sir? What is the purpose of principle of cooperation? No profit, no loss, and let's help each other. Mutual cooperation. What is mutual cooperation? You are showing your answers to your friend in the exam. Your friend is showing her answers to you. That is called cooperation. But after results, both are shocked because both are not qualified. So cooperation, meaning group of people are coming together for mutual benefit. They are having common collective interest. That's why that is called as cooperative. So cooperative societies were not made constitutional earlier, but 97th Constitutional Amendment Act. 97th Constitutional Amendment Act made the cooperative societies in 2011 as registered societies. Sir, why should we register, sir? Remember Article 19? Different types of freedom of speech and expression. One of the freedom is freedom to form cooperative societies. They can form? Yes. Again, DPSPs, Article 43B. DPSPs, Article 43B. Promotion of cooperative societies. Apart from that, if you look at what is cooperative societies, sir? The different people form as a group and the group is registered, and the main purpose of the group is to benefit the members associated with the cooperative societies. Again, who will conduct the audit of the cooperative societies? State, obviously state only. A cooperative bank is different, cooperative societies are different. Now if you look at previous prelims question from local bodies, so one of the previous questions is, Panchayat Raj institutions promote democratic decentralization. Yes? Now apart from that, who is called the father of local self-governance? Then when National Panchayat Raj Day is celebrated? No. April Panchayat Raj Day, April 24th. National Panchayat Raj Day. Look at the word. So, National Panchayat Raj Day celebrated from April 24th only? Yes? Then what about October 2nd? Gandhi Jayanti. Of course, decentralization, local self-governance is announced. So, if you look at, apart from that, all the states have uniformity in Panchayat Raj institutions creation. No, different states are following 3-tier, different states are following 2-tier, and so on. And apart from that, 11th schedule deals with municipalities. 11th schedule deals with Panchayat Raj institutions. 12th schedule deals with municipalities. Then, in case of Panchayat Raj elections, if it is dissolved and new Panchayat is constituted, it will serve for remainder period. Previous prelims question. Apart from that, what is the age limit for contesting elections in local bodies? So disqualification is decided by respective state legislature regarding Panchayat Raj institutions. So who will conduct the elections for local bodies? State Election Commission. So apart from that, if you look at Panchayats should be assigned the task of preparation of plans of economic development and social justice. 29 matters are transferred to urban local bodies. No, 18 subjects are transferred to urban local bodies. 29 subjects are transferred to Panchayat Raj institutions. Again, we covered PESA, Panchayat Extension to Scheduled Areas. So, Forest Dwellers Rights Act 2006. Then there is one question: which ministry is looking after Forest Dwellers Rights Act implementation? MOTA. What is MOTA? Ministry of Tribal Affairs. Ministry of Tribal Affairs is overall in charge for implementing Forest Dwellers Rights Recognition of Act 2006. So apart from that, both Schedule 5 and Schedule 6 areas have autonomous district councils. No, Schedule 5 advisory councils, Schedule 6 autonomous district councils. So apart from that, we covered overall who is called as father of local self-government in India. Lord Ripon. So which resolution is called as DJ effect? Magna Carta. Magna Carta of local self-government. Lord Ripon's resolution. Correct only? Apart from that, DPC, District Planning Committee. So basically for urban local bodies. Then MPC, Metropolitan Committee, mostly for urban areas. So finally we said, if you look at Government of India established separate ministry for cooperatives. Earlier separate ministry was not there, but Government of India established separate ministry for cooperatives from 2021 onwards. Which means earlier there was no separate ministry for cooperatives, but from 2021 there is a separate ministry itself created for cooperatives. So actually the word is Sahakar se Samruddh. Sahakar means cooperation. Samruddh means prosperity. So the tagline, popular tagline, Sahakar se Samruddhi. Samruddhi means development. Sahakar means cooperation. Sahakar se Samruddhi, the theme of Ministry of the Cooperatives, so which was created from 2021. So this is brief idea about local bodies, Panchayat Raj institutions, all that. So now we'll go to center-state relations, federalism. So don't worry, after covering this, we'll take break. The word federation is mentioned in the Indian Constitution. No. India is not a federation of the state. India is union of the states. Why India is union of the states, not federation of the states? What is the reason? Residuary powers are there with the center, and political map of states can be changed by parliament anytime. There is a distribution of powers, 7th schedule, union list, state list, concurrent list. So parliamentary system of the government, no doubt. So if you look at Article 74 to 75 and state, so 164 to 169. If you look at federal, distribution of powers between center and state. So if you look at Constitution of India provides for parliamentary form of the government. What do you mean of parliamentary form of the government? Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha and President and supreme powers are there with Parliament or the President. Why are you saying supreme powers are there with the Parliament? Even Parliament can impeach the President. Even Parliament can impeach the President also. President can be impeached by Parliament also. We covered already. Apart from that, parliamentary system of the government, executive is responsible to legislature for its policies. Executive is responsible for legislature. Okay, let me change the question. The principle of parliamentary form of government is that there is a collective responsibility of government to people. Collective responsibility of government to people. Government means what? Council of Ministers only. Government means what? Council of Ministers only. So they're saying in parliamentary form of the government, there is collective responsibility of government to people. Obviously. So when government can be in power? As long as they have confidence in Lok Sabha. As long as they have confidence in Lok Sabha. Correct only? So apart from that, ministers are classified into different classification. No. But shadow cabinet is not followed in India. Shadow cabinet is any future of Britain. So what is shadow cabinet? Opposition party will appoint shadow for each minister in the cabinet. So to identify what they are doing secretly and to criticize and to ensure that in future if the opposition party comes into power, this shadow cabinet minister will become the cabinet. Like your shadow is following you, an opposition party candidate is following a ruling party minister, not following, to criticize the policies of the government. But shadow cabinet is there in India? No. So shadow cabinet is mostly there in Britain, but in India generally we follow the word. Of course, kitchen cabinet is there everywhere because without kitchen, all secrets will be out. So if you look at in center-state relations, how can you say that India has federal futures? India has federal futures in normal circumstances, and in case of emergency, it will be transformed into unitary. Generally, there is a distribution of power between central government and state government, but in case of emergency, all the powers are with center only. Correct? That's the reason why, in normal circumstances, India has federal futures, distribution of powers between center and state. But in case of emergency, so it will be transformed into unitary because most of the powers are there with center only. Again, if we look at independent judiciary, bicameral legislature, what's the meaning of bicameral legislature? Bicameral, two. Correct only, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Similarly, bicameral legislation state also, MLA and MLC. Indian federalism is the result of agreement among its states. No. The word federation is mentioned in the constitution. No. Apart from that, if you look at Indian federal system is based on the Canadian model but not on the American model. Indian federal system is based on Canadian model but not on American model. Distribution of powers between center and state, residuary powers with the center. Is the Canadian model only? Residuary powers with the center and distribution of powers between the center and the state is Canadian model only. But what is American model? Agreement among the states is American model. That's why Indian federalism is based on Canadian model, not American model. Again, center-state relations. So if you look at cooperative federalism, comparative federalism, so if you look at irrespective of those who are the power at the center government and the state government, both should work in tandem with each other. Cooperative federalism. Comparative federalism. States among themselves are healthily competing with each other in terms of the development. Comparative federalism. See, different states will be organizing investment summit to attract more and more people. So apart from that, we are going to cover each of them in detail. So legislative relations, administrative relations and financial relations. Most of the bone of contention is related to financial relations, especially regarding devolution of taxes and distribution. But if you look at legislative relations of center and state, 245 to 255. Center-state legislative relations. Now look at the word. When there is a distribution of powers in 7th schedule, union list, state list, concurrent list, list 1, list 2, list 3. Obviously list 1 is union list only, list 2 is state list only, list 3 is concurrent list. Where it is mentioned? 7th schedule. With respect to a state subject, only state can make a law. Look at the word. With respect to a state subject, only state can make a law. Only state legislature can make a law. No, dear. Parliament also can make a law on state subject in some circumstances. Only word is wrong. Of course, exclusive powers are given to the state. No, not exclusive. Coexistence. What does it mean? Even on state subject, not only state legislature, but Parliament, union legislatures also can make a law. So 42nd Amendment actually transferred 5 subjects to concurrent list from state list. 42nd Constitutional Amendment transferred 5 subject to concurrent list or state list? So what do you mean of concurrent list? So both center and state can make a law and can control and can monitor, can supervise. So education, forest, weights and measures, protection of wild animals, administration of justice. Look at the word, administration of the justice. So these 5 are mentioned in concurrent list. Through which amendment? 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act. Direct question came. 42nd CAA transferred which of the following to concurrent list? Once again repeat, education. Meaning not only state government is spoiling education, central and state together are spoiling education. Not spoiling, they are responsible for promoting education. New education policy 2020, Kasturi Rangan committee, 3 language formula. Yes. So new education policy Kasturi Rangan committee suggests we want skill based education rather than certificate based education. So what is skill based education? Ready to be employed. All of us are educated but unskilled. Educated does not mean skilled. So in your house tube light is not working. You are EEE engineer, ECE engineer. We tried all, nothing is working out. Neighbor came and told main switch is off. So what does it mean? Skilled is different, educated is different. Correct? Then again look at weights and measures. What is this weights and measures? Water. How many kgs water you are drinking? Liters, not kgs. Correct only? Apart from that, protection of wild animals and birds, administration of justice. Again, I said something. The power to make laws on state subject is exclusive to state. No, it is not exclusive to state. Parliament also can make law. So when Parliament can make law on state subjects, sir, in what circumstances? In exceptional circumstances or extraordinary circumstances which are mentioned below, Parliament can also make a law which is mentioned on state subject. So when, sir? So if you look at, Parliament can make a law, any subject, so in exceptional circumstances. What are those circumstances, sir? During national emergency. Obviously during national emergency, our federal structure will get transformed itself into unitary. So Parliament can make a law. So second, if Rajya Sabha passes a resolution supported by 2/3 members present. So who is passing a resolution? Rajya Sabha to make a law with 2/3 members present. So why Rajya Sabha is called as Council of States? So the initiation for making laws came from where? Rajya Sabha means from where? From states. Because it's representing states' interest only. That's what is called as Council of States. So in this case also Parliament can make a law. Again, when 2 or more states are passing a resolution asking the Parliament to make a law. Apart from that, Parliament can make a law on any matter in the state subject for implementing the international treaties and agreements. See, states cannot sign international treaty and external because external affairs is excluded under union list. But Government of India signed an agreement with foreign country. But to implement that state subject, so center can make a law. Most of bilateral treaties, multilateral treaties, investment treaties signed by whom? Union government. But to implement them, Parliament can make a law on state subject also. Apart from that, if president rule is imposed in a state, so what happens to state legislature? Anyway, we are going to cover emergency separately, but in those circumstances, can Parliament make a law with respect to state? So which of the following statements are correct? Generally, states will make the laws on state subject. In extraordinary circumstances, both Parliament and state can make a laws on state subject. State subject legislature is exclusive to state legislature. Just now we said not exclusive, but generally more powers are given to state only in normal circumstances. So again we said, So in parliament, so whenever we are talking about legislative relations, should state compulsorily follow whatever center says? So that comes to a question called administrative relations. So when we are going to cover financial relations, they will understand why Kerala government filed a case in Supreme Court against the central government. Mostly because of financial relationship, FRBM. So if you look at administrative relations, already we covered, administrative structure is similar to the central government only in state government also. So what is administrative relations, sir? All India services, where they are working? In the states only? So if you look at 256 to 263 talks about administrative relations, just brief idea only, no need to remember all articles. Now what does it mean? Replica of the secretariat of the center is there in replica at the state level also. Almost similar structure only. So if you look at executive power is divided between center and state in line with the distribution of legislative powers. Here, if you look at every state is to be exercised in such a way, meaning state has to comply with the administrative orders given by the center. Can we say that? If center is giving some guidelines regarding administration, states have to comply with that. States have to comply with that. Which means states have to accordingly follow and implement the orders given by the center. Again, if a state is failing to comply with the directions given by the center, president rule can be imposed. Yes? Article 356? I think so. We are going to cover. What does it mean? When state is giving autonomy in administration, but it should not be against the orders given by the center, or it should not impede the executive powers of the center. Meaning, state administrative powers should be in line with the directions given by the center. It is complementary. It is not contradictory to the orders given by the center. What does it mean, sir? State in its administration has to, 1, comply with the orders of the center. State cannot make a law which will challenge or which will prejudice the exercise the executive power of the center. So accordingly, state has to align as per the directions given by the center. Now apart from that, what is Article 356? What does it say? President rule. Anyway, I am going to explain emergency provisions separately. What directions are given by center to state in what circumstances? Railways is union subject or state subject? Union subject. But look at who is maintaining railway safety. 2 people are maintaining. RPF, Railway Protection Force, is directly under union, whereas General Railway Police, GRP, is from state police. Yeah, sir. Railway station kelle, sir. So next time observe, in any railway station there will be 2 police stations. One is RPF, Railway Protection Force, that is from Ministry of Railways. And state local police will be there. They are also in charge of railway safety. Normal law and order is local police. Exclusive to Railway Act, Railway Protection Force. Did you understand what I am saying? So in this case, maintenance of railways, protection of railways, law and order problem related is taken care by GRP police, General Railway Police. They are not from railway department. They are from local police only, posted for the safety of the railway or the railways. RPF deals exclusively with Railway Act. So who is maintaining? Center is also maintaining. State is also maintaining. Apart from that, sir, you said law and order is a state subject. Law and order is a state subject. Now the reason why GRP is from state police only. What does it mean? In a railway station, somebody has stolen the railway bogie itself. I mean, who is responsible now? General police or railway police? Railway police. Why? It is with respect to Railway Act. But 2 people are fighting in the railway station. 2 people are fighting in the railway station with each other. Who is responsible? GRP is responsible. Why? Law and order. Understood? So that's the basic difference. So while sleeping in the train, while going, you lost your phone. Who is responsible? Nobody is responsible. You are only responsible. But you can complain. You can complain. So if railways recover, they'll try to hand over. So it means maintenance of the railways, center is giving directions to the state that please ensure GRP in this railway station and try to provide us the sufficient support. That's the reason why administrative orders. Then the president may, with the consent of the state, may give certain directions for the development of tribal areas and backward areas also. So generally, president may order certain directions to the state to follow welfare of scheduled tribal areas. Apart from that, All India Services, Article 3(1) of the Constitution authorizes the Parliament to create new All India Services. Rajya Sabha can initiate the process of creating new All India Services. Which article? Article 3(1)(2). Then what is integrated judicial system? What is integrated judicial system? Integrated judicial system means judiciary will enforce not only the union laws, but also judiciary will enforce state laws also. Which means we don't have separate judiciary for central laws, we don't have separate judiciary for state laws. Together we have only integrated judiciary. Which means the state laws also are enforced through judiciary, central laws also are enforced through judiciary. Now apart from that, during COVID-19 time, if you remember, so many guidelines were given with the center to the states. So should state compulsory follow? Why, sir? Lockdown should be imposed. Correct? Apart from that, center also has given guidelines regarding screening of the patients, isolation ward, all that. So when center is giving a guideline to the state, it is for the interest of the nation only center is giving guidelines. If center is giving guidelines to a state, it is for public interest and national interest, center is giving the guidelines. So states should try to follow the directives given by the center in administration. That's why these are called as administrative relations of the center and state. Suppose a directive is given by the center, opposition party there in the power in that respective state, is it obligatory on the state to follow it? Central government has given some guidelines. Which party is in power? BJP. So Karnataka, which party is in power? Telangana, which party is in power? So is it obligatory on the state to follow it? Once elections are over, it is government, it is not a political party. Once elections are over, it is not a political party, it is the government. This government is working for these people here, that government is working for overall people there. So it's not the political differences, it is the government. So which means political differences may be there, but a public only elected you so that you can lead the public. No? So state government supposed to follow the orders given by the center to ensure public interest. That's the reason why administrative relations. But most of the tensions between the center and state are financial relations. Because all problems in life is mainly related to what problems? Financial relations. Because money is there also problem, money is not there also problem, more money is also problem. So Manishi ante evaru? One who is wasting life for two things which are not permanent, called money and she, is called as Manishi. Correct only? So she wants he wants she, both wants money, and when money is not there, she is not there, and she is not there, money is not there. Both are there, peace of mind will not be there. So which means, of course, everywhere, the problem is because of finances only. Everywhere problem is because of finances only. More money problem, less money problem, no money problem. Correct only? Now don't write these main answers. But so, if you look at 268 to 293, financial relations are distributed. Now look at here. Small deviation. Finance Commission, which is constituted by President once in 5 years, will allocate funds, vertical devolution, horizontal devolution. Vertical devolution is sharing of the taxes between the center and group of states. Horizontal distribution is Among the states, the distribution. Can we say that? Again, in financial relations, if you look at distribution of taxes between the center and the state, actually there is a table, you can make the table separately. Taxes levied by the center but collected and appropriated by state. Article 268. Stamp duty on bills, checks, so promissory notes, all this. Second, if you look at taxes levied and collected by center but assigned to states. Interstate trade. Look at the word. Intrastate trade, interstate trade. What's the meaning of intrastate trade? Within the state, if trade is happening, state laws are applicable, state can collect the taxes. But interstate trade, from one state versus the other state. State jurisdiction is with respect to the boundary of the state only. So interstate trade comes under union. So who will make the laws with respect to that? Union. Apart from that, one more type of the tax. Levy and collection of GST. I'm going to explain in detail GST after this. 269A. So if you look at levy and collection of goods and services tax in case of interstate trade or commerce. Interstate trade or commerce. There is something called IGST. So there interstate trade commerce occurs. So Parliament will cover the law. Again, surcharge. Some tax words are there. Duty, tax, cess, surcharge. GST will explain in brief. When my economy sir will explain in detail in economy, but here only brief idea will be given. What is duty? Obligatory payment collected on visible goods is called as duty. Obligatory payment collected on visibles as well as invisibles is called as tax. Meaning, the word duty can be used only in case of goods. The word tax can be used in case of goods as well as services. Customs duty, excise duty, countervailing duty, anti-dumping duty. Duty means on goods only. Tax means on goods as well as services. Surcharge. It is collected additional, extra. So if you consume more than certain electricity points in your home, whatever extra points you consumed, extra charges you have to pay. But extra is called as surcharge. Additional obligatory payment collected over and above the tax is called as surcharge. Extra. Cess. It is additional obligatory payment collected for a specific purpose and it's supposed to be used for the specific purpose. Swachh Bharat cess, Krishi Kalyan cess. So it is collected for same purpose and supposed to be used for the same purpose. So duty, tax, cess, surcharge. What is the difference between cess and surcharge? Surcharge is additional payment collected over and above normal. It can be used by the government for whatever purpose it wants. Cess is additional obligatory payment collected for a specific purpose. It's supposed to be used for same purpose only. This is the basic term. Now apart from that, if you look at one more word, direct tax, indirect tax. Incidence and impact is on the same person. The burden of the tax cannot be passed on. That is called as direct tax. Income tax, corporate tax, wealth tax, gift tax. Indirect tax. Incidence is on one person. Impact can be passed on to the other person. That is called as indirect tax. Now there are two types of grants. Statutory grants, discretionary grants. What do you mean of statutory grants? According to the law, compulsorily some devolution supposed to take place, which is called as statutory grants. What is discretionary grants? Union government can decide in giving these grants. That's why that is called as discretionary. Statutory grants and discretionary grants. Parliament can make grants to the states which are in need of financial assistance, but not to every state. Some states are having more money, so less aid is required. Some states are suffering from financial problem, more aid is required. So who will decide that? Parliament will decide. Central government will decide. Of course, if you look at in the recent times, bone of contention between center and state, and many judgments also came because of center-state financial relations is 101 CAA. What is 101 CAA? What is 101 CAA? One Constitutional Amendment Act, so GST, correct? So brief idea about GST. Why we are looking from polity perspective 101 CAA. See, before GST, the system that was in use was VAT, value added tax. In VAT, taxes were not uniform throughout India, which means different states used to collect different VAT rates. Second, VAT was not completely digitized. VAT was not completely digitized like GST. Third, in case of VAT, tax base was low, tax rates were high. What do you mean of tax base, sir? On the goods and services that we are collecting is called as tax base. Tax base is low, tax rates are high. Meaning, on less number of goods, we are collecting more taxes. I repeat once again. Problem with the VAT system was there were no uniformity of tax rates. Different states used to follow different rates. Second, VAT was not completely digitized. Meaning, like GST, from application to refund, everything is not digitized. Third, just now I said, in case of VAT, when VAT was in use, tax base was low. Number of goods on which we are collecting the VAT was low. Tax rates were high. So to solve the problem of this, Vijay Kelkar committee suggested, let's try to bring single one consolidated indirect tax structure, which is called as one nation, one tax. Which means instead of multiple indirect taxes, let's bring one single uniform indirect tax, that is called as GST. What is GST? Gold and silver tax. Goods and services tax. GST did not replace all the indirect taxes, but GST tried to replace many indirect taxes. What are the rectifications? Comparison. First, throughout India, uniform tax rates were introduced. In VAT, uniform tax rates were not there. Second, everything is digitized in GST. Third, most important point, in GST compared to VAT, so if you look at tax base is widened, tax rates of multiple slabs are introduced. So major changes in GST compared to VAT was uniform taxes are introduced throughout India, digitization was introduced, and tax base is widened. More goods and services are brought under tax basket, but tax slabs, multiple slabs are introduced, 0, 3, 5, 12, 18. In VAT, government was pinching a person continuously for long time. In GST, don't pinch for long time, pinch for some time, give break, again pinch. So tax base is widened, tax rates or slabs are introduced. One more important point, in VAT, production states used to collect the tax on the manufacturing. In GST, GST will be collected not in the production point, at a destination point. Destination point means consumption point. MTR masala is produced in Chennai, but Tamil Nadu government will not collect the GST. Wherever masala powder is used, their consumption point they will collect the tax. So GST structure is CGST, HGST, IGST. Now IGST is applicable only when interstate trade happens, production point is different, consumption point is different. So look at the word. Parliament has exclusive power on making laws with respect to IGST. Statement is correct. What do you mean of IGST? When interstate trade happens, integrated GST. Sir, what do you mean of this? We produce sweets in Telangana, consumption happens in Telangana only. Only CGST, HGST is applicable. IGST is not applicable. Why? Production state is same, consumption state is same. A sweets is produced in Telangana, but consumption is happening in Andhra Pradesh. So interstate trade is happening. Similarly, a coffee powder is produced in Andhra Pradesh, but consumption is happening in Telangana. So interstate trade happens. There IGST is applicable. So in case of IGST, only Parliament has the exclusive power to make the laws. The reason, interstate trade comes under union list. Intrastate trade comes in with respect to state list. Again, what is the bone of contention, sir? What happened in GST, sir? Indirect taxes, several indirect taxes which were collected by state, their operational autonomy is taken by the center. Which means earlier, state can decide how much of indirect tax they want to collect individually. But now, on behalf of them, GST Council will decide. So GST Council is constitutional body or statutory body? Constitutional body. Article 279A. So who is the chairman of GST Council? Union Finance Minister. Who will be there in GST Council? Union Finance Minister, Minister of State in Finance, plus all state finance ministers together will be there. So in GST Council, look at the word. 1/3 voting power is given to center, 2/3 voting power is given to states. Why, sir? Because states lost their operational autonomy in collecting their own indirect taxes. Single central government alone cannot decide, cannot change GST rates, because what is the voting right of center? Only 1/3. Can a single state decide how much is GST? Cannot decide. Group of states together have to decide. So center and state together are taking the decisions in consultation with each other. This word is called as cooperative federalism. So center and state together is deciding in GST rates. So center voting power is 1/3, state voting power is 2/3. Together in consultation with each other they are deciding. That's why that is called as cooperative federalism. Any decisions can be taken with 3/4 majority of the vote value. So which means in GST Council, voting power of the center is restricted to 1/3. All the states voting power is 2/3. Why this is brought in and why we have to give more powers to states, sir? Look at the word. Amendment procedure of Constitution, Article 368. So 3 types of amendments are there. So 1, simple majority. 2nd, special majority. 3rd, special majority plus consent of half of the states. Now we'll understand the logic. What is the logic, sir? Earlier, several indirect taxes were collected by state. Now who is making a law? Center is making a law on a state subject, which is also altering distribution of powers between the center and the state, meaning it is disturbing union list, state list and concurrent list. Because it is disturbing, we need constitutional amendment. But whenever parliament is trying to make a law on state subject, which is altering the distribution of the powers between the center and the state, not only special majority is required, but also consent of half of the states is required. Look at the word. Meaning for a GST bill to be passed, not only special majority, but consent of the states is also required. Why initially states did not give consent, sir? Because states asked explicitly GST compensation clause in GST bill. What is GST compensation clause, sir? States said, okay, sir, GST is very good. We will try to implement it. What if after implementing GST, if we don't get funds equal to what we are getting earlier? In the word is called as revenue neutral state. Before GST, whatever funds state was getting, after implementing GST also, if they get equal, that's fine. If they get more, that's fine. But if they get less than that, who will pay the compensation? Center has to pay compensation. State said, Namakan led dora. Center మీద మాకు నమ్మకం లేదు, and compulsorily this compensation clause should be mentioned in GST bill, then only we will give the consent. That's the reason why many times GST bill was introduced, but consent is not given, bill could not become an act. But why this 122 constitutional amendment bill became 101 CAA? Because explicitly in this constitutional amendment bill, GST compensation clause was mentioned. Assam was the first state to give consent. Jammu and Kashmir was the last state to give consent. See, we are talking about Jammu and Kashmir state when we are talking about 2017. Okay? That's the reason why GST compensation clause was explicitly mentioned. Slowly, half of the states ratified, 122 constitutional amendment became 101 CA. Okay, so this is called as cooperative federalism between center and state. But where fight happens, sir? Under revenue neutral state, if a state is not getting adequate revenue in GST, like earlier it was getting in VAT, the difference should be compensated by whom? Center. So during COVID-19, what happened? GST revenue for center also declined. GST revenue for state also declined. So who promised compensation? Center promised compensation. So state asked, we want compensation because you guaranteed. Center said, me tenali, ma tenali problem. Meaning you also don't have sufficient resources, I also don't have resources. Then they went to Supreme Court and they said, look, who is guaranteeing this GST compensation? GST Council is guaranteeing. GST Council is a constitutional body or statutory body? Constitutional body. But interesting judgment given by Supreme Court. GST Council recommendations are not binding on the Union government. GST Council recommendations are not binding on the Union government. It is advisory only. Meaning, compensation need not be paid by the center at all circumstances. Supreme Court judgment regarding GST Council. GST Council recommendations are not binding on the center. Obviously, who will appoint judges of Supreme Court? How will they give judgment? In support of central government only. Logically only. Of course, contempt of court, again, they'll feel sad. But in simple, GST Council recommendations are not binding on the center. Meaning, GST Council recommendations are only advisory in nature. So, these are bone of contention between center and state regarding compensation. One more bone of contention recently, Supreme Court judgment with respect to coconut oil. Related to GST on coconut oil. What is this, sir? So coconut oil should be considered as edible oil or coconut oil should be considered as cosmetics? Big question mark. If it is considered as cosmetics, 18% GST. If it is considered as edible oil, 5% GST. Finally, Supreme Court said that primary purpose of coconut oil is edible oil only. Complementary function of coconut oil is used as cosmetics. So GST applicable should not be 18%. GST applicable should be 5%. So this is Supreme Court had to intervene while applying coconut oil. Meaning, what type of rate is decided? So GST Council, center voting power is 1/3. State voting power is 2/3. Majority of the decisions would be taken with 2/3 majority. GST Council recommendations are not binding on state government. State government or the central government? Central government. So this is bone of contention between center-state relations. Okay. So this is in brief about 101 CAA and when LKG question came. Article 279A provides for GST Council, constitutional body. Who constitutes GST Council? President. Okay. Who the chairman of GST Council? Union Finance Minister. So this is brief idea about center-state relations, legislative, administrative and financial relations. Hopefully after break, we will try to cover emergency provisions and remaining relations. Okay.